guys, welcome to Baking and Books. My name is Lexi and I'm an amateur baker who loves to read. So every week I post videos of myself attempting to bake something new while also talking about a book that I really love or have recently read. This week I'm going to be attempting to make peanut butter fudge. I've never made fudge before. I'm not really a huge fan of fudge, to be totally honest, but I have had some peanut butter fudge that I really like. So I'm hoping that this will be a similar recipe and that I can make it and enjoy it. And if not, as long as other people like it, I think that's a success. I'm also going to be talking about Night Shift by Stephen King. This is a really great book. It's another collection of short stories. So a heads up that I'm not going to be doing a synopsis. By the time I got through a synopsis of each story, we would be done with our fudge. And also it would pretty much give away the entire story. So instead, I am going to dive right into the book when we get started here in a second. I had a lot of fun with this book. I think I've read it before. I went into it thinking it was brand new to me, but I recognized a lot of stuff in the stories, and when I went to put it away on my shelf, I realized I do actually have another copy of this. But it was really fun to read for the second time and take notes. There's a lot of really good short stories in here, so I'm excited to talk with you guys more about it. So since I'm not going to do a synopsis, let me just quickly say, if you don't want things spoiled for you, go ahead and skip forward until it says no more spoilers, and you can just see how the fudge turned out. But if you don't mind spoilers or you've already read the book, then stay with me. We're going to dive in and get started and start talking about the book. Okay, so I did have to move my camera angles because a lot of this, first off, takes place on the stove. So forgive me if it's not great. I haven't yet really figured out how to work my camera angles over here on the stove rather than over there. So it's just going to be what it's going to be for today. Okay, hopefully you can't really hear the butter that is sputtering to life over here in this. It's trying to melt and it's making a lot of weird sputtery noises, so just forgive that. Okay, diving right in. I normally don't read intros in books, but I was kind of intrigued, so I decided I'd give it a try. And honestly, it held my attention for quite a little while, if I'm being honest. Like, more than I thought it was going to hold my attention. I really thought the intro was pretty interesting. I did not end up reading the whole thing, but it held me longer than I thought, so I guess, like, that's a shout out to Steve. The first one is such a great story to start with because, it's such a great story to start with because it is Jerusalem's Lot, which is also Salem's Lot. That is a whole separate Stephen King book. If you've never read it, I highly recommend it. I'm definitely going to do a Salem's Lot video at some point in the future because I want to reread it before I do it, but it is such a good book. I absolutely love it. There's a major throwback feeling to Dracula where everything is told through like letters and stories, where everything is told through like letters and journal entries rather than just like a random story being told. And I love that. I just think it's always interesting in stories like this that people are always so hush about things. Like, people are always so afraid if they talk about stuff, it's like it's gonna make it worse or it's gonna make it happen. I don't know. I just always felt like, you know, maybe if you told people straight out what you think the problem is or like what the town thinks the problem is, then maybe you would have less problems because people would have heard your warnings. It also just always makes me laugh, like, we as people never believe what's right in front of us. You know, like, you can see a really creepy thing or you can see, you know, like, there's a lot of people that believe in ghosts and the supernatural type stuff. I'm not entirely sure what I believe on that front, but people never want to believe what's right in front of them. And I don't remember exactly what I was talking about with Salem's Lot or this particular short story, but nobody just ever wants to believe. Maybe it's like the rats in the walls. Like, do you really believe the rats sound like they're walking around like people? Come on. The next one was Graveyard Shift. The one thing that I really got stuck on was like, okay, yeah, the foreman is a dick. There's no doubt about it. But why do you care that much? Like, it's one thing to teach him a lesson and go down there and be like, haha, you were just as afraid as the rest of us, and, you know, you're a wimp and whatever. But to go so far as to know you could both die and not make it out alive, like, what is the point of that? What does that get you? You're dead at that point, and you're leading other people potentially to their deaths because they have to go down and search for you. Night Surf, simple and sad, definitely had connections to The Stand, which is another great Stephen King book we will definitely do someday. If you haven't seen the series, the newer series on Paramount, is it on Paramount? I think so. I think it's on Paramount Plus. We got it for a week so that we could watch this. It's got some great people in it, and it was really, really good. But I do highly recommend reading the book first. It's a thick book, so set some time aside for that. We'll do that one someday too, but that one just made me just reminded me of the stand, which I love. I Am the Doorway. That one was such an interesting one. It was really unique compared to some of the other ones. But it definitely made me more uncomfortable than a lot of the other ones. I cannot imagine like having eyes in your hands like that. Oh, it just like talking about the itchiness and the whole thing just makes me so uncomfortable. The Mangler was a good one, although I kind of felt like it would have been creepier if it had stopped a little bit earlier. I sort of felt like it just went on a little bit too long. You know what I mean? Like I just sort of felt like it would have been a little creepier if it had left a lot of things uncertain and like up in the air rather than trying to solve it, if that makes sense. The Boogeyman was 100% just like a solid short story. Just the right level of creep, you know, like this idea of this man who is grieving and lost because he lost his kids and doesn't know like how to take credit for it because nobody's gonna believe him that it was the Boogeyman and, you know, all of that. And then it turns out that his, you know, this therapist he's seeing just so that he can tell his story is the Boogeyman the whole time. Like, that's amazing. So I absolutely loved that one. That was a really solid short story. Gray Matter, I really felt like that would be a really cool novel. Like, it was really gross and really just sort of like intriguing, I guess. We didn't really find out, you know, where did that come from? I mean, was it like, what was the bacteria in the beer that made him sick like that? Or like, what happened to Henry? You know, did Henry end up making it back or not? Like, that would be something that I would love to see. Some of these other short stories that are tied to novels, I would love to see that one a novel. I don't think it has to be a super long one, just something to kind of give us a little bit more about that one. I really enjoyed that one. Battleground, I honestly don't remember at all. I just wrote down that it was cute and a good short story. So whatever that means, it was cute and a good short story. I'm trying to think, but I don't want to waste too much time thinking about it. I honestly have no idea. I really don't. Trucks, pretty basic. Machine fear. A lot of people like say that, you know, like one day these machines are going to overpower us. They're going to make cars that can drive themselves now, and that's kind of like a reality now, so I guess that's not so good. But I like that one because it's a little bit longer, so it kind of gives like a little more insight into the world, but also too it ends kind of with a cliffhanger. I mean, you're not really sure like how everything is going, you know. We moved again. Welcome back. Sometimes They Come Back. That was a really good twist on like a solid ghost story. Like it was a really interesting sort of twist on a typical ghost story, which I really enjoyed. The only thing was like, you didn't really know what happened to Chip, and you didn't really find out what happened to his wife. Like, obviously his wife died. I got that. But like, you didn't really find out how or what they did to her, which I thought was sort of weird. Maybe it was just extremely gruesome, and Steven was like, nah, in my mind it's really gruesome, so I just don't want to tell you. But I want to know. Strawberry Spring, that was a really good twist. I kind of saw that coming. Not totally, but I kind of did. I had myself talked into it, and then I had myself talked out of it. The Ledge, for me personally, was one of the creepier ones. Like, the idea of being however many stories up and having to walk around the side of the building, like, I just don't know. To me, sometimes the creepiest stories are the ones that are a little bit more, I guess, like, based in humanity being evil rather than, like, supernatural. I mean, not that I can't get creeped out over supernatural stuff, too, but just that, like, the villain of this story was just a man, you know, a rich man who was a sore loser and did not want to lose, you know, basically felt like his dignity was being lost or his pride was being hurt or whatever the case may be. And he was just a regular man. And it was just a situation where, like, all of us would question, do I go to jail? Do I let the person I love die? Or do I potentially commit suicide by walking around this entire building? My one question is, why would you go? You know, like, I really just don't think I would go. Like if I knew that the spouse of the person I was with found out we were together, and he was really rich and powerful and kind of creepy, I would not go to that meeting. I would just run away with the spouse and be done with it. I'm just saying. He did not need to be at that meeting. The Lawnmower Man, that was a weird one. Definitely not really what I was expecting. It was one of those ones that was like, yeah, it was really creepy and disgusting, and it just almost was like, where did that one come from? You know, like, where did you get that idea? Because I can't say that most of us would come up with something like that. Twitter Inc. is a good one. It's definitely one of those ones that you're like, ooh, you know, that's solid. That's a good story right there. The only thing is that you definitely would 100% be able to go to the police. Like 100%, you'd be able to go to the police and be like, look, these people had me sign this contract, and you know they're threatening my family if you know, if I smoke or if I do these other things. And then especially like once it has happened, like you and your spouse could easily go to the police and be like, listen, you know, these people are doing these things, and I'm pretty sure that it's not a-okay. I don't know. I just don't know that it would really be worth it to have that like constant fear around. Like, yeah, you feel better because you're not smoking, you're not really drinking, you're you know, you're keeping the weight off, like spending time with your family. That's all like fine and dandy. Like, of course you're gonna feel better, but do you really feel better? Because you're constantly worried about being seen doing something wrong. Like, you're constantly worried about making a mistake. The I Know What You Need, a little bit anticlimactic. I liked where it was going. I thought it was really interesting, but then I just felt like the ending was really anticlimactic. Like, he didn't do anything to her. You know, it just turns out that he kind of has this special power to predict things or to make them happen or whatever. And then, like, she knows about it and she just walks away. I don't know. That one was kind of anticlimactic for me. All right, quick baking update. I'm just having some issue because it wants me to beat it until smooth, and I think it's my powdered sugar that looks like it is just giving me some trouble. It's kind of clumpy, and so I'm trying to like stir the clumps out of it. I'm trying to think if there's another utensil, like if I should try to whisk it. I know you're supposed to put it into a mixer, so maybe I should get a whisk and try to whisk it a little bit. I don't know. Hold on, let's see. Children of the Corn, obviously a classic. I mean, a lot of people know that one, especially thanks to the movie that came out whenever it came out. Hollywood definitely exaggerates. Like, I kind of understand why they did, because it's a really good concept, and you definitely don't get enough of the story that you might want. Like, I definitely wanted a little bit more. You know, like, I don't know that you need a whole movie or a whole novel, but I definitely wanted, like, a couple more pages. I found the last rung on the ladder to definitely be one of the most realistic stories. Just childhood trauma sort of coming to life there. And it's just super depressing because, you know, it's that moment where you feel like I could have helped, I could have saved that person, but I was just too late. I don't think the whisk is really helping as an update, so I think we're just gonna go ahead and put it in the pan as is, and we're just gonna run with it. As per usual, I don't really have the right size pan, but we're just gonna put it in this one and hope we're okay. The Man Who Loved Flowers, I definitely called that one. I think that one was one of the most predictable ones to me. Like, you could tell something was going to be wrong. Like, there's no way this nice, young-looking man is out here, like, super happy and super in love and buying flowers in a Stephen King story. It's just not going to happen. So I was like, yeah, that checks out. I kind of thought to myself, as things started progressing a little bit, I was like, oh, he's definitely the killer. He's definitely the person that everybody's looking for, and he's probably going to kill again. And I think the only thing I wasn't really thinking about was, like, that the person he loved was dead. Like, it kind of crossed my mind, but not, like, fully. Okay, I'm going to take a little taste. I mean, it tastes good. I don't know what it is I don't like about fudge. I wonder if it's, like, the richness of it. I don't know. There's just something about fudge that just it's not my favorite. All right, it's not super pretty. I think I'm supposed to smooth it out, make it look really nice, but, like, it's fudge. I feel like it's not that big a deal, so I'm just going to put it in the fridge. Okay, our fudge is out of the fridge, so we're going to cut it up, put it on a plate, and see how it tastes. One for the Road was another great story, another excellent Salem's Lot story. I realized that what I would love to have, and honestly, I don't remember that much about the book, so this could be more like what the book was. It's been a long time since I read it. But I would love to have a novel of Salem's Lot from different generations, basically, because I feel like we started out this book with like an older version of events in Salem's Lot, and then now we're getting sort of a more modern version or a 70s version. I don't remember exactly what it was. I would love to have different versions. I think it would be so much fun. The Woman in the Room, I don't remember exactly what it even was, but I just felt like it wasn't a super strong story, and it felt like it would have been so much better to end with One for the Road, because we started with the Salem's Lot story, the Jerusalem's Lot at the beginning. Why not end like a bookend, like just perfect little open and close situation? Okay, I don't know how to get these out of here. I have a tiny little spatula, so we're gonna try. Okay, I feel like this did not harden at all. Like, it said an hour in the fridge, and it was actually in there over an hour, and this is not working. Like, these are just chunks of butter. Okay, if you left because of spoilers, go ahead and come back and join us. Our fudge went all together, went in the fridge for over an hour. It's still not very hard and put together. I'm not sure if it just needs more time. I scooped out this whole big piece because I couldn't figure out how to get a little piece out, but it's definitely not hardened up, so I'm not really sure why. Like, I'm not really sure what the problem was. I mean, I guess I'll try to, like, taste a piece. You definitely couldn't hold it. Like, fudge, I feel like you're supposed to be able to hold it. You definitely could not. It says refrigerate until solid, about 1 hour. It's definitely not solid. It's gonna have to go back. I mean, it tastes fine, I guess. It tastes like peanut butter, I guess. I don't know how to make this better. It's just like little scoop pieces here. I gotta put it right back in there and worry about it later. I mean, it definitely tastes like peanut butter. Peanut butter and something else. It's not a bad taste. It just 100% is not hard enough to be fudge. Like, 100%. I wonder what would happen if I put it in the freezer. Is that a bad call? Okay, I'm gonna do it anyway. Because it has spent over an hour in the fridge and still didn't harden up the way that it's supposed to, and the ingredients said it should be about an hour. So I'm just thinking, maybe I put it in the fridge for a couple more hours, it'll be okay. Let me show you. It looks a little ugly over here, just heads up, because this is the part that I cut out. But you can see that it's like almost there. Like, it almost looks like fudge. But when you pull pieces out, it's not hardened like fudge is supposed to be. So I think we'll stick it in the freezer. However, I would say this was a success just because it tastes good. Not sure it's gonna be a condensity success. Not sure I'm gonna actually be able to serve it to anybody, because if it doesn't end up hardening together, I just don't know how to serve it to people. It's just kind of gunk at that point. Yeah, there are like no hardened pieces, so I'm gonna try putting it back in the fridge. Well, actually, I think I'm gonna do the freezer. I wouldn't say it's a total fail, but if it goes in the freezer and doesn't come out very well, then it might be. Maybe we'll say half and half. It's not a total success, but it's not a total failure. I love this book. I had such a great time reading it, and I highly recommend it. If you're looking for a great Stephen King, this is definitely a way to go. Tons of nice short stories that are really fun, a little bit creepy, definitely a little bit weird. It's a really fun read. If you have any other book recommendations, please feel free to throw those my way. I'm always looking for new things to read. Don't forget to try to shop local when you're looking for books, or just rent from your local library. If you have other recipes you want me to try, throw those my way as well. I am always looking for new recipes, and I would love to have them. You can also follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on pretty much all the social medias. I'm getting old. But you can follow me on Instagram to see what I'm currently reading, because that's where I always post. Before I forget, I will not be posting a video next week. My fiance and I are going on a much needed vacation, and I won't have time to bake or put everything together, but I should be back the following week. If not, then I apologize in advance, but I will eventually get back to it. Hopefully just 1 week off, maybe 2. We'll get back to it eventually. If you had fun today, I highly suggest you like and subscribe, because I'm here for you almost every week, and it's always a little bit of a hot mess and a little bit of fun, so I would greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to those of you that do watch every week. You guys are the absolute best, and I'm so thankful for you. Thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you guys next time.